Hello and welcome everybody at already my second tutorial. This time it isn't going to go about my... I didn't take my thesis as the subject, but I rather took a problem which I have to solve quite a lot. And also I noticed that my previous video was a little bit too silent, so I'm now trying my best at actually talking loud and clear to you. So that isn't the case anymore, hopefully. So my second tutorial will be going about Virtualbox. Not just Virtualbox, but because I told you guys at Facebook that I was going to create a tutorial about hacking. I'm now going to create a tutorial about how to actually set up a server in VirtualBox that you can hack, because there are quite a lot of peculiars you have to be careful with, because not the standard configuration of simple virtual machine will not work. I'll explain that later in this tutorial. So the first thing we need to have is actually a operating system to install in our virtual machine. So I have actually a operating system here. It's at Peter. Documents. ISOs. Yes, here. We're going to install a Debian 7. That should do it. We're going to install a Debian 7. Let's copy this. Copy. Here. Yeah, I actually normally dual boot my PC. Normally my PC runs Windows and Linux, and this is actually my Windows drive. So I'm going to first transfer this ISO to my Linux drive, so it can that's a little bit more convenient, I believe. So let's do that first. Already exists. Oh, it seems I already have. Ah, okay. So it wasn't actually needed. Okay. Oh, it seems that we already have our ISO. Okay. That's good for me. Next, we're going to install our virtual machine. We are using VirtualBox. Before you can actually install a virtual machine, you must make sure all the modules are loaded into your kernel. Yes, this is still running. So we actually need to execute this command: sudo VirtualBox needs these modules to actually interact with the host system, so that the guest system can interact with the host system. Sudo modprobe vbox drv. That's for general interaction, like shared folders and stuff like that. Sudo modprobe vbox net adp. That's for creating net adapters. Sudo net avlt. I don't know what this module does, but I load it anyway. Sudo modprobe vbox PCI. So make sure these modules are actually loaded before you actually going to start your your guest OS, because yeah, otherwise some things won't work in VirtualBox without these modules. So now that it's loaded, it actually already was loaded, but I just typed the command so you can see what the comments are. Now we're going to install our virtual machine. Okay, let's first do it the wrong way. So the wrong way. New. Yes. That's Debian tutorial. Yes, we're going to call that Debian tutorial. 512 megabytes of memory. Yeah, that should do it. Then we're going to create a new virtual hard drive. I think you can actually choose any of these. I usually choose VDI because it's the native file format for VirtualBox, but you can actually choose anything you want. This is the native file format for VMware. This is the native file format for Windows. So disks with that format you can also be mounted on a regular Windows system. This is the native file format for Parallels, and this is for QEMU. QEMU. That's another virtual machine. So yeah, let's take VDI because it's the native format for VirtualBox, and we're going to only use it on VirtualBox. So yeah, dynamically calculated or vaste grootte, fixed size. I use dynamically calculated because it takes much less space, and it's actually, they say it's slower than fixed size, but I believe it's actually quite the same speed. So yeah, I take dynamically calculated, so it's only so disk image will only be that size, will actually be the size of the actual virtual machine, rather than you say like creating a disk of 100 gigs. Yeah, that's just too much space when you pick fixed size. So yeah, I take dynamically calculated for that reason. Yeah. Next, the Debian tutorial. Let's create a disk of 20 gigs. Yeah. So now we have our disk. That will be the disk for where the virtual machine will be installed. So this kind of image. Yeah. Let's change the settings of our virtual machine. So let's first configure our virtual machine in the wrong way. And that is actually like system processor yeah, the wrong way. So normally a virtual machine will be using network address translation. So what that actually means is that the virtual machine will give a fake IP address to the will get a fake IP address like 10.0.0.0.1 for example, and yeah, that's IP address will be used. It doesn't and the fact that it's a fake IP address doesn't care, because actually the host the host operating system is actually connected to the internet. So what actually happens is when the virtual machine wants to connect to the internet, it actually doesn't care which IP address it has, because it's going straight through the host operating system first before it actually gets to the internet, and when some servers send data back to the guest system, it also needs to go through to the host system, and the host will actually take care that the packets that are needed for the virtual machine are actually delivered to the virtual machine. The only downside of this is when a server or another computer wants to initiate a connection with the virtual machine without actually wants to, if a machine of the outside world wants to initiate a connection with the virtual machine, because then the actual connection won't go through the host operating system first. That will be a problem. So most people want to use a host only adapter. So this will create some kind of virtual network interface on the computer that will get a real IP address, and when a external client initiates a connection with, for example, a HTTP connection with the virtual machine, it uses that IP address and it will go straight to the virtual machine without going to the host system first. So that should be the actual problem solver for this problem, you think, but there is actually some problem with that. There are some really peculiars about Virtualbox that make it a problem, and we'll get to that later. So we take VBoxNet 0. I actually first created this virtual network card here, host only networks, VBoxNet. When you want to create a virtual network card, you have to click here, and the network card will be created. So yeah, but we already have a network card, so we can skip that step. Now, the actual installation. We start our virtual machine, choose an ISO. Let's take the netinst. Yes, it's the right one. Okay. Let's take netinst. Start. Foutsituatie aanlopen. Nu kunt de boodschap hier could not be opened. That's my mic. Okay. Yeah. Maybe it is a good. I will have actually test it. Okay. Just continue. Let's hope our mic still works. Okay. Just ignore the message. Fine. A 64 bits install. We'll choose. Normally, I would choose Dutch, but because this is a multilingual tutorial, I'm going to choose English for this time. But I'm going to choose, because I'm here in Europe, I'm going to choose other Europe, Belgium. My local is none of these actually. Well, let's just choose United States. Why always United States? We have a Belgian keyboard. Yes. Now it's going to actually load the installer, and at some point this will give an error. Mainly when we are going to connect to the internet, it will give an error. And now it gives the error. That's because I think it's for security reasons, a virtual network card doesn't get a standard route. I think that's for security reasons. I'm not sure what the actual reason about this is, but yeah. What we actually need are two cards. One card to actually connect to the outside world, and one network card to actually let external PCs connect to our PC. The card that's connected to the outside that will be used to connect to the outside world will actually get a standard route. So that we can use that. For the card that is connected to the that's used to connect to let external PCs connect to our PC, to our virtual PC, it isn't actually needed that it has a standard route, because it's only needed to actually accept connections, not to actually send data. That data will be sent through the other card, and a standard route is only needed for connecting to the outside world. So because of this error, we're going to back to our settings and going to correct that. Apparaten, machine sluiten. Deze machine uitzetten. Okay. Let's go to our settings, network, and we're going to select a second adapter that's using NAT. Now we have two adapters, host only and NAT. Okay, let's continue. Same error. 64-bit install. Yeah. English, other, Europe, Belgium, United States. We have a Belgian keyboard. Okay, let's continue. Now it won't give an error. If we choose the right network card, of course, because now we have two network cards and we get to choose! Yay! Detecting hardware. So I think this is the good card. And yes, we are connected. Okay, let's continue. Hostname, let's give it a hostname da devil. Domain name, nothing. Let's give our PC root password. Full name of the new user, my name, Peter. Password in good, it checks it. Now it's the same. Okay. Let's use guided or let's use manual because we're crazy. This drive partition table. Yes, we created partition table. create a new partition of so we actually have 512 gigabytes of RAM, that 512 megabytes of RAM, that means we need about about 1 gigabyte of swap space. So we're going to pick 22 gigabytes here, continue, make that primary at the beginning, bootable flag on, done setting up this partition, create a new one, create a 1 gigabyte logical, and that will become our swap space. Swap area. Every Linux PC needs a swap area and a actual partition to install the Linux on. Swap area is used as virtual memory. The other partition is used as a regular partition, and it gets root as yeah, it's used as a regular partition. That's where everything gets installed. Finish partition and write everything to the disk. Write changes to the disk, yes. Okay, we're installing the base system. Hell yeah. This can take a while. In the meantime, yeah. So like I said, every Linux needs a swap area. The swap area is used as virtual memory. It's actually used when the system runs out of memory, and it's actually used to be used as an extra spare memory. It's always twice the size of the RAM a PC has. I don't know why, but it's actually some kind of rule to actually make it always twice the actual size of the RAM. And the other partition was a ext4 partition to install our actual Linux on. We only created one partition. You can also create several partitions and actually decide that for example, say that everything is installed on one partition except your personal files, and that you installed your personal files on a other partition. That way, when you do an upgrade, you actually only need to format the partition where the actual system is installed, and not the partition with your personal files. This way you actually don't use your personal files, and you don't need to explicitly back up your personal files when you do an upgrade. So it's actually pretty handy. Yeah, I don't always do that because I'm just lazy, I believe. And it's actually difficult to decide how much space you are gonna use for your personal files and how much space you're gonna use for your system. Let's say you actually want to use 20 gigs of space for your personal files, and yeah, maybe someday that won't be enough, and someday you actually accidentally did too much gave too much space to your too less space to your Linux system, and you can't install anything additional to your Linux system. That's also a problem. It's a kind of idiotic problem, and yeah, it can be avoided. It can be avoided by this trick to actually install everything on one partition. Some methods have downsides, some methods have upsides. Yeah, not every method of installing a system is actually the best methods. You need to decide which methods fits it's the best for you. So yeah, we need to choose a mirror to download our stuff from. I'm going to choose Belgium. I'm going to choose Belnet. It's a mirror governed by the Belgian government, I believe. It's actually it's a mirror owned by the Belgian government, and it's quite fast for something of the government. So I'm going to choose that mirror to actually download my stuff from. So yeah. Skynet, yeah, who uses Skynet? Skynet is Belgacom. Belgacom is rather slow, isn't it? Belgian joke, only Belgians can understand it. Belnet. We don't use a proxy. Scanning the mirror. Retrieving files, retrieving. Yeah, Belgacom is a phone company here in Belgium, and they actually also are they are an ISP also in Belgium, and yeah, we have, I believe, 2 major ISPs, Telenet and Belgacom in Belgium, and both of them are rather slow in their service. I sometimes serve on a computer with Belgacom, and sometimes I serve on a computer with a Telenet, and in my opinion, both are as worthless as each other. Yeah. This is taking quite a long time. I'm actually hesitating if I'm going to pause this video or how many minutes are we going? We are going for a kwartier. Yeah, let's wait a few seconds. Give the operating system some time. How's my battery going? My battery is 73%. Whoa, that's maybe because of the virtual system. How much process? Ugh. No, I didn't do that. Let's monitor our system a little bit because it's really using a lot of battery. Virtual machines are pretty resource intensive, so yeah. Takenbeheer. CPU. Vempeg. Oh, hahaha. The vocal screen is also pretty battery intensive, I suppose. Okay. This vocal screen that's draining our battery. Bad vocal screen. Yeah, this is taking a long time, so I'm going to pause the video. Okay. The system asks something to actually take part in the popularity contest. It's actually a little bit, yeah, strange to actually say yes to this because we only are going to use this system for testing purposes, so it's actually really strange to actually participate in this situation in the PopCon. It's actually a system that the BN uses to measure how popular their packages are. They register and which packages you install and send a report of that to the BN, so they know which packages are popular and which packages are not popular. So we are going to say no to this. Sorry, Debian. Popularity contest installed running task cell. This is a very important step because we are going to install a server. We're not going to need a desktop environment. Maybe a print server, maybe an SQL database. Who knows? Mail server, we are not going to do this with mails because this is a laptop. I'm going to leave laptop on. File server, no for this time. Print server, SQL server, print server, no. SQL server and a web server. That's the type of servers we need. We're going to use this web server later on. Okay. And now we have to wait another while. I'll be back when the installing and the waiting is done. Okay. Welcome back. Everything, I have an apple. Yeah, I took the time to take an apple, my dessert for this evening. It's a late dessert, it's already 10 p.m. But yeah, I took an apple. Not a real Apple computer, but an actual apple. And the computer actually asks something to us. Oh, I'm going to close the door. The door is open. Okay. Let's continue. Install the grub bootloader to the master boot records. Yeah, every OS needs a bootloader. Also, in Linux, Windows also uses a bootloader, but you don't see the actual bootloader. And it's actually the program that loads first. So when a computer loads, the BIOS, that's the actual OS installed on the it's a tiny OS. It's actually installed on the PC that actually serves as a primitive OS that actually only serves the PC and actually only intervenes when something really goes wrong, like temperature is too high and so. And it also boots the actual OS that actually is going to run and is going to do all the tasks. And it needs a bootloader for that. It needs some kind of program that actually tells him how to actually boot the installed OS. This bootloader is going to be installed on the first sector of the hard drive, and with the what a bootloader actually mainly does is actually jumps to. It actually uses a jump instruction that actually jumps to the first instruction of the actual OS's code. The OS itself, like Linux, is an actual program, and that program consists of all code. And the bootloader actually tells the computer to jump, actually loads that actual program, that is the OS in the memory, and actually tells the computer to actually execute the first to actually jump to the first instruction in memory. That is the first instruction of the actual OS that needs to be run, and let's start, and the ball gets rolling. That first instruction gets executed, followed by next instruction, and next instruction, and the OS gets running. So we actually need some kind of program to do that, and grub is such a program that can do that. So we actually need grub. Install it to the master boot record. Yes, it's actually the traditional way to install it. You can install it on the first sector of a partition, or you can install it on a master boot record of the hard drive. The more traditional way is to install it on the master boot record, but if you don't, you can also install it. If you don't like that, you can also install it on the first sector of a partition. But you need to keep in mind that the BIOS, that primary OS I was talking about, is actually going to search for the bootloader in the master boot record. So you actually need also another bootloader to actually tell the actually tell the computer to actually look for another bootloader to load the OS. So it's actually, yeah, it's some kind of long, really complicated way to actually do that. So we are going to do it the easy way, the easy traditional way, and install the bootloader in the master boot record. So we're going to say yes. Oh, the window didn't have the focus. We're going to say yes. Okay, grounding grub install. Updating grub. Setting users and passwords. Disabling. Doing some final stuff. Setting the hardware clock. Installation complete. Now we are going to continue. We're not going to stop when it's completing. No, we're going to continue. Even if it stops, we're going further. Yes, okay. Now we're going to boot our PC. Yes, indeed. So the actual virtual machine restarted, and it actually immediately booted our PC. Now this is our new PC. We're going to use this PC for several hacks. This is going to be our dummy object to hack. We're going to hammer this PC till it stops beating, till its heart stops beating. We're going to hack it like hell. Yeah. The poor virtual PC. Yeah. Da Devil. Nice name. Let's pick roots. So, by default, Linux has a root account. A root account is like the admin account on Windows. It actually does all the admin work. It's actually not a good idea to always use the root account, because the root account has all the privileges. You can do everything with the root account. Editing files, editing system files, removing system files. So you can actually damage, that way you can actually damage your PC. So it's always a good idea to have a regular user account, which we are going to have here. Our actual normal user account. With that account we can't harm our PC when we experiment. But now we are going to configure our PC, our system. So we actually need to change something in the inner of our system. So we need the root account right now. First thing, we actually only, during the installation, we only configured the first network card, the NAT network card. But we actually have more. I only see one network card here. Wait. Ah, yes. This network card isn't actually loaded. But it's actually existing. Wait a sec. Everything. E.T. That's strange. The corporation. Yeah, normally it should be in the dev folder. Or device or second network card, but I don't see it here. CDE. Maybe I'm wrong about this. Yeah, because the first network card also. No, not here. Grep if. I must be wrong here somewhere. Sometimes I'm also wrong. I'm a person that doesn't know everything. Luckily, life would be boring if you know everything. But yeah, I thought I all devices are the file in Unix, also are file in Linux. So there's the network cards are also a file which are in the dev folder, but I don't see our network cards. Maybe they are in some different folder. Who knows? Yes, continue. We need to going to configure our network card then. That's in the add folder. CD network. And this is a file. Yeah. Indeed. And all the network configuration is in this file right here. Yeah, my mouse disappears, but it's in the interfaces file, the network configuration. So we need to edit that file to actually configure our first network adapter, because only now our second network adapter is only configured. We need to also configure our first network adapter, the host only network, so that the external computers can connect with our PC, like I told you before. So interfaces, VI interfaces. We see here the configuration of our first network card, and we are going to make this auto first. Our host only network card, because now we don't have an actual IP address which we can connect to. So if we're going to look here, our IP address is now 10.0.3.15, and if we are going to use this IP address in our web browser, so let's say 10.0.3.15, we're going to see that it can't connect. Logically, it doesn't exist. So we actually need our second network cards for our normal PC to connect with our virtual PC, because that is an external computer. Even though we can actually now use the internet, the other way around works fine. Like, see? The ping works, so we actually can connect to the outside world. Only the outside world can connect with us. We need that second network card for that. So we're going to configure that. Yes. Our host only network card. Auto. It should be F0. eFace F0. eNet DHCP. Save. If up F0. And our second network device is up. Okay. Let's continue. Now we have here two network devices. Yeah, you can't see the other one because my screen is too. You can't see the other one because my screen is too small. But yeah, now we have two network devices. If config F0. See. Now we see F0, and it has the IP address 192, which is a real IP address which we can connect to with our external computer. Let's take, for example, our browser, yeah, and put in that IP address instead. We also installed Apache. I think Apache is already running. Let's check that at init.png Apache 2 status. Apache 2 is running. Debian says it, so it's true. Everything Debian says it's true. No. There are some better Linux distributions. Debian is good for running if you need to run a PC that's really has to be really stable, but it's so stable they keep it stable with a very simple trick, namely mainly they keep it stable by actually keeping the programs they install on Debian very old. So old programs are mostly stable, but they are old. They don't have very much new features. So for some purposes, some other Linux distributions are way much better than Debian. But Debian actually is easy to install and it fits the purposes of this tutorial. So I installed Debian. Apache is running. So let's connect to this Apache. 192.168.56.101. It works! Of course, I knew it would work, but it works. It works, ladies and gentlemen. So this is it for this tutorial. You see it works. We now have a complete virtual PC that we can use as a web server, and that is completely our virtual PC. We actually can use it as a real PC. It's not like this is running on a on this local PC. No, it's running on this web server we are connecting to is running on a different PC, which is virtual, but yeah, you get the point. It's actually a different PC. It's not this PC. If it was this PC, I could run this. I don't think a web server is running on this, but yeah. No, it's not this PC the web server is running on, it's a other PC, a virtual PC, and that was the whole purpose of the tutorial. I hope you learned something with this, and I hope this tutorial was pretty useful for you. Next time we're going to actually hack this virtual PC. We're going to actually crack the... we're going to install an FTP server. I actually tried some experiments. You see here Debian FTP. Yeah, we're going to hack this PC and we're going to hack a FTP server. We're going to try to log in without a password. Yeah, let's keep hacking. That's for next time. I need to do some more experience on that before I can actually create a tutorial. Yeah, hope you liked this tutorial, you guys, and see you next time. Bye.